Yeah, absolutely. And another avenue the Bills could try to get some cap space is with obviously some cut candidates, some restructures. And three names that Bills fans have brought up a lot are John Brown, Mitch Morse, and then Mario Addison. John Brown, it wasn't that long ago they did a career year in Buffalo. It was 2 seasons ago. Very injured this year. We saw what Gabriel Davis could do, different type of player, but he stepped up opposite Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley this year. We know about Mitch Morse, the concussion history. We know if they re-sign Feliciano, he has the versatility to play at center. And then with Addison, I think he brings a lot to the locker room. Don't get me wrong. But they also brought him in with this, hey, averaging about 9 sacks a season over this span of time. And then he didn't quite meet that goal. And consistent edge pressure was something this team still needs to find. So where do you land on maybe the Bills having to make some of these really tough decisions?
Yeah, I mean, I would think that John Brown is the first guy that, to my mind, that they're going to go to and say, you're taking a cut or you're out. And and you're right to the point. Just a couple seasons ago, what he was able to do, and I think he certainly brings a different element than Gabe Davis does. But I think now they're going to look at it and say, well, we have Diggs, we have Beasley, Davis is coming on. Now we feel good about ourselves. We picked Davis and we assimilated him into the program. I know it's a different position, but Dawson Knox has given them some production at tight end. So I got a feeling that they feel pretty good about their ability to identify talent at those skill positions and plug and play guys. So to me, you go to Brown and you say, you got to take a big cut or you're getting cut. I think Addison's another one where, look, the defense played a lot better in the second half of the year, clearly, and especially post-bye from weeks 12 on. But you didn't get enough production there. And that's something that's a pretty sizable number for a guy who's good in the locker room and is a steadying presence on the field, but not giving you, as you mentioned, the sort of splash plays or the consistent pressure that you want from the edge. And I would say that's an issue. To me, but Dion is probably their best, not probably, Dion's their best offensive lineman. I still have a strong belief in Mitch as a player. Mm-hmm. But obviously there were some things going on this year, and it wasn't, we heard maybe, he had the concussion, then we gave him the extra day, but then things went well. So then you don't really do that when you have that much invested in a player. So that makes me think that there's something there that they didn't see from him, that they didn't love from him this year from a performance standpoint. But again, I thought when he came back in the lineup and was reinserted, he played pretty well. He's not a mauler for sure. And I think maybe that's an area where they look at and say, well, we don't run the ball as well as we would like. Maybe we like our backs. Maybe that's something that we do. We need to get a little bit more physical up front. But I look at Brown first and Addison second. And to me, I just think Mitch is a better player than both of those guys. And he'd be the one I'd want to keep around more than the other two. And that, again, not a slight against the other two guys, just saying for overall bang for the buck, I still think Morse is a really good player.
Yeah, I think that you're spot on with that. And I think that the writing was on the wall with this in the season. And I know that he was dealing with some injuries, but you look at how aggressively the Bills were down the stretch at bringing in wide receivers. I mean, obviously Kenny Stills is one guy, but they brought in Tanner Gentry, they brought in JJ Nelson, they brought in Gary Jennings, guys that they were just kind of bringing in to take a look at it. I mean, you'd probably know better than me in this scenario, but I think you look at what John Brown did this season in this role, the secondary role of Stephon Diggs, and they probably sit back and think, yeah, we do have Gabriel Davis, to your point, and maybe that role that John Brown's now filling in this offense, we can find someone cheaper to fill that role.
Yeah, I mean, and look, he obviously has had some great moments as a Bill, and he's done some big things for them, but there were too many times this year in big spots, whether it be because of injury and he couldn't play, or maybe the injury's lingering and we still don't know the full extent of it, that he didn't give you the bang for your buck that was necessary. And that to me is, again, I think that's a position where you feel like you could probably find somebody. I mean, who was the guy they pulled off from the street from Green Bay who caught a touchdown pass and then got cut the next week?
Kumaro.
Yeah, thank you. Right.
And
he just signed a futures contract, right? Didn't he just sign?
Right.
I mean, and look, I'm not saying that Jake is the player that John is, but to me, it's almost like, well, look, we didn't get a lot from John and we were paying him this much. And then we plugged in a guy. And because Josh Allen is so good and because of the attention that Steph and Cole get, this guy gets a touchdown. So, you can maybe find a way to save a lot of money there.
Where are you right now on Mitch Morse and his future with the Bills?
I like Mitch, and I never got a chance to play with him because he was coming off of the hernia surgeries or whatever it was when he was coming in for the 2019 season. But the thing that surprised me is he is what I think he still is the highest paid center in the NFL.
Second or third now, actually.
Yeah, so he was at
the
time, right?
Yes.
So I think that if you look at the biggest thing that GMs and front office staffs are going to say when it comes to renegotiation or take a pay cut is, hey, your durability is an issue, right? That's the one word every hey, you didn't reach all 16 games, which is going to who's going to hear that? Matt Milano. But that's a different thing. Those are things that are going to say. So if they want Mitch Morse to stay here, they know that they're going to have to rearrange his structure on his cap hit. And whether that's moving some to the front or if saying, hey, we're going to need to do this, we're going to release you, trade you, whatever. I think that the only way Mitch Morse stays the starting center for the Buffalo Bills is if he takes a pay cut. And I'm not saying that based off of his play. I'm saying that based off of I know the business and the schemes of what go into the NFL, and there's a lot of things that need to get done on this team, and there's not a ton of money and a ton of wiggle room to do it. So I think that you kind of give him the option of, I don't know if you guys followed it in Minnesota, Riley Reif this year, the left tackle, they said, take a pay cut, we're going to release you. And I don't think it's going to get to that point with Mitch Morse, but it could, depending on what him and his agent want to accomplish. But again, you have guys that were able to go in there and fill in well, and John Feliciano, who's also a free agent and wants to get paid. You got a guy in Ike Bucker who started a ton of games there at left guard towards the end of the year, who's going to be back on probably a second round tender would be my guess. And so there's money that needs to get poured into that room. And then the question is, how do you evenly space that out amongst those guys? Or do you just kind of say, okay, we're going to remove a piece of this and start fresh with something new? I don't necessarily know which way they go with it, but I think Mitch is a good player, and I think he's an integral part as to what was able to happen with Josh's development as well, with a really smart center playing up there.